Hey guys, Anthony from AM Outdoors 101. I just wanted to bring you a video on jerk baits, but before we get started on that, I wanted to go over a few things about pond fishing. As you can see, this is just a pretty average sized pond with a fountain, and we'll talk about that, talk about why that's important, and I'll go ahead and talk about a few key things whenever you're finding ponds, or if you just found a pond. The things you want to look for is things like structure on the top of the water, in the water, around the pond. Look at what type of shade you have, and things like fountains are very important, especially here in mid-central Texas. And I'll talk about why that's important in just one second. But things you want to look for: moss, weed lines, any type of grass in the water that you can actually see, logs, stumps, anything like that. Bass love stuff like that. They need stuff to hide in, things like that, things of that nature. And also bait fish tend to stick around those things. What the fountain does is whenever it rains, or artificially like this, a fountain puts oxygen in the water. And whenever you go weeks or months without rain like we do here in Texas, that's very important, because without oxygen in the water, fish will die, and they won't be very active if it hasn't rained in a while. They won't be very, you wouldn't be very active if you had to go weeks without eating or anything like that. And the pressure changes really big time in the water whenever there's no rain. So I'm going to go ahead and touch on my setup and things for jerk baits, and then whenever I'm done with that, I'm going to go frog fishing on some of the moss back there in that corner. Also, whenever you're fishing ponds like this, you want to look for current areas or wind-blown banks. And what I mean by that, if you look out, you can see where the water's choppy, and you can see where it's flat. And the wind is blowing from my back to that bank. And every time I fished here, there's really not very many big bass in this pond, but every time I fish here, they're along that bank over there. So that's something to look for when you're fishing a pond. And also, it's the most shaded area, and that's another key thing. So let's go ahead and get started. I've talked about before in other videos to keep, damn, I just spilled those. To keep your tackle in proportion. And today I'm going to be trying out the Magnum Super Fluke. It's a jerk bait. Check those out. And I'm going to use a 5/0 hook and a size 3 swivel. And we'll talk about why we need that swivel in just a second. I'm filming by myself today, so you got to be patient. It's a pretty big fluke, and I'm using the 5/0 hook, like I said. And I'm using the 5/0 hook because I need to clear the plastic on these to be able to make a hook set. Let's see, I've already got it rigged up for you to save some time, but basically, I'm using braid right now because I was too lazy to put my monofilament on my other reel. But usually use a monofilament when you're fishing worms and stuff, just so the bass don't see the braid. But here's the 5/0 hook. I'm going to go ahead and rig that for you, which is going to be pretty difficult with one hand, but give me 1 second and I'll rig it up. Okay, when you rig it, you want to make sure that the hook comes out on the belly side, and I'll show you why that's important. You sink it in to where it's straight, flip it in just like a worm. And there's several ways to rig this, but this is the way I like. And you want to see where it goes, see where it turns, bend the bait right there, and stick it through the plastic. And on these, it's because of how fat it is, you can leave that hook exposed. It's really not going to catch much weeds or anything like that. And also, I have on here a swivel. And this is very important. If you cut the line and tie the swivel about, let's say that's about 1 foot, from the hook, because these things spin a lot and it'll twist your line up a ton. And this saves it from, you know, getting all twisted on your reel and backlashing easy. So I hope you were able to see that. I'm going to go ahead and just show you kind of how to work these things. There's no weight on it besides the weight from the hook and the swivel itself. And leaving the swivel far out like that lets this bait kind of fall naturally with its own weight and a little bit of the hook's weight. But how you would want to work this is when you cast out, you're going to cast out and let it fall and just jerk it. You know, it's called a jerk bait. Just twitch it, and let it sit. Reel it in, reel in the slack, twitch it, reel in the slack. You know, that's a slower way to work it. You can also work it a little more rapidly and just twitch, reel, twitch, reel at a constant pace. And I've caught fish on it both ways. I've never actually fished the Magnum fluke because you know, I've never been in areas where I thought I would catch big bass. But you know, big baits catch big bass. So I just wanted to, you know, basically make it so I can stress on the whole proportion thing with tackle. So that's about it on jerk baits. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, let me know if you need, if you want any baits tested or any tips or anything of that matter. Just let me know and I'll get it up within a couple of days for you. Appreciate it.